Kourtney Kardashian is a bad mom. At least, that's what the internet is saying after she posted a vacation photo that instantly blew up into a parenting scandal. The image looked innocent enough. Kourtney lounging on a boat in Italy with her 21-month-old son Rocky cuddled in her lap. But fans spotted the problem. No life vest. Within hours, her comments were flooded with accusations of recklessness and neglect. Please put a life jacket on that sweet baby. This is illegal? How could you risk his life like that? Kourtney fired back, admitting she didn't think about it, promising to buy one, and trying to spin the mistake into a teaching moment for other moms. But the damage was already done. Was this just a careless oversight, or proof that Kourtney Kardashian really is out of touch and irresponsible when it comes to parenting? Let's break it down. It began with a sunlit scroll stopper. Kourtney Kardashian reclining on the stern of a sleek Italian boat, waves flickering like glass, 21-month-old Rocky tucked into her lap. No filters needed, no caption required, until viewers noticed the missing detail that swallowed the entire moment. There was no life vest on the toddler. In seconds, the comment section flipped from hearts and "so cute" to hard questions about safety, legality, and common sense. What looked like a postcard became evidence in a public trial. For critics, this wasn't about nitpicking celebrity parents, it was about the basics. Boats jolt, kids squirm, one bad wake and a perfect day can turn into chaos. The internet, ever vigilant and unforgiving, framed it as a preventable risk, especially from someone with infinite resources and influence. Supporters countered that mistakes happen, even to careful mothers, and that a single lapse shouldn't define a parent. Kourtney moved quickly. She acknowledged the oversight, promised to buy the proper vest, and reframed the moment as a warning for other families on the water. Accountability helped, but the narrative had already slipped beyond her control. Complicating everything, the same carousel celebrated a deeply personal milestone. She was breastfeeding Rocky, something doctors once doubted she could do. That intimate victory was instantly eclipsed by the safety debate. This is the paradox of Kourtney's real-life posting. The more unvarnished the share, the sharper the scrutiny. One frame was meant to say, "family bliss." The internet read it as unnecessary risk. And that tension between authenticity and responsibility set the stage for everything that followed. The outrage didn't slowly build. It exploded. One glossy vacation post transformed into a public trial across every corner of the internet. Instagram filled with heated debates, TikTok users stitched the photo with siren sound effects, and Reddit threads listed Kardashian parenting mishaps like legal exhibits. Words like reckless, negligent, and illegal dominated the conversation. What made this particular moment spiral beyond a routine Kardashian scandal was simple. The image carried the weight of danger. A toddler without a life vest on open water isn't just gossip, it's a safety issue. Comment sections turned savage. Some demanded accountability, insisting that Kourtney needed to publicly show she'd corrected the mistake. Others defended her, arguing parents make errors and she had admitted it. A third wave was pure exhaustion, claiming that when you build your brand on family life, you invite every ounce of criticism that follows. Influencers, parenting coaches, and gossip accounts all jumped in, reframing the same photo with their own spin. What Kourtney intended as a sweet family moment was rebranded into a symbol of irresponsibility. Even her attempt to highlight a victory, openly celebrating that she could breastfeed Rocky after doctors told her she wouldn't, was lost under the noise of criticism. For some, it was proof she was being authentic. For others, it was proof that her version of real ignored real-world safety. One picture turned into two narratives, both equally loud, both impossible to silence. The debate was no longer about a vest, it was about whether Kourtney could be trusted as a mother in the public eye. Silence would have been easy, but it would have made the storm louder. Instead, Kourtney addressed it head-on. She admitted what everyone saw in the photo. She brought Rocky onto the boat without a life vest. No PR maze, no deflection, just a plain admission and a promise to fix it. She said she would buy the proper vest, and more importantly, that she hoped other moms would take the reminder seriously before they ever push off from the dock. It wasn't a glossy redemption arc, it was a practical course correction. The response split the room. For some, accountability ended the argument. Mistake acknowledged, lesson learned, move on. For others, it felt like a reaction to backlash rather than instinct, a fix only after the internet forced one. That's the burden of fame. even sincerity gets audited. What complicates the narrative is the rest of the carousel. In the same post, Kourtney celebrated a deeply personal victory, breastfeeding Rocky after being told she might not be able to. That moment should have stood on its own, a tender win in a hard-fought chapter of motherhood. Instead, it became footnote material, overshadowed by a safety lapse that dominated the headlines. Her reply didn't erase the photo, but it reframed the next one. The question now isn't whether she made a mistake. It's whether she can turn a public misstep into a visible standard. Seatbelts clicked, vests buckled, lessons modeled in real time. In a world where authenticity is content, responsibility has to be content too. Kourtney has spent the last year pivoting toward a softer, real-life version of celebrity. Unedited swimsuit photos from family trips, sleepy morning snaps with Rocky, posts about breastfeeding wins and postpartum changes that most A-listers hide behind filters. That rawness is why her fans call her the most normal Kardashian. It's also why the boat photo detonated so fast. When you brand honesty as your superpower, the audience stops grading on a curve. The same feed that invites people into your living room also invites them onto your boat. The contradiction is brutal. One slide says vulnerability, here's my body as it is, here's a milestone doctors doubted. The next slide hands critics a smoking gun, here's a toddler on open water without a vest. To her supporters, the two truths can coexist, a devoted mom who made a fixable mistake. To her skeptics, the juxtaposition proves a bigger point about influencer parenting. Curation without the responsibility that should come with it. This is the authenticity tax. The more Kourtney leans into unscripted motherhood, the more the public expects receipts. Safety belts buckled, car seats clicked, helmets strapped, life vests visible. If the win is public, the precautions need to be public too. It isn't fair, but it is the cost of doing family content at Kardashian scale. She can still own the narrative, show Rocky trying on his new vest, talk through boating rules, turn a lapse into a standard. Otherwise, every intimate victory will keep competing with a single, unforgettable frame. This didn't blow up just because a toddler lacked a vest. It blew up because the Kardashian machine runs on visibility, and visibility comes with a higher bar. Kourtney has carved out a different lane from her sisters. Less filtered, more maternal, proud of an unedited body, and small domestic wins that feel human. That's why the mistake stung. The same intimacy that earns trust also magnifies lapses. When your brand is real life, the audience expects real safeguards to show up in the frame. Fair or not, this is where celebrity parenting collides with public responsibility. Followers don't just consume moments, they model them. If Kourtney posts a seatbelt click, a helmet strap, a life vest buckle, it normalizes the habit for millions. If she forgets, the omission reads like permission. That's the authenticity paradox turned practical. Transparency isn't only about showing the milestone, it's about showing the method that kept everyone safe on the way there. There's a path to flip the narrative. She can turn Poosh into a quick-hit safety series, coastline checklists, toddler vest sizing, boat day rules in plain language, then make it visible on her feed. Rocky trying on his new vest, a caption owning the learning curve, a savable graphic parents can screenshot before they launch. Not as punishment, but as proof of growth and a model other families can mirror. Kourtney's advantage is that her audience already believes she's the most grounded Kardashian. If she treats this like more than crisis control, if responsibility becomes part of the content, she doesn't just repair an image, she sets a standard. And in a family that built an empire on what they share, that might be the most influential post she's ever made. In the end, one photo did what photos do online: freeze a second and let strangers decide the whole story. Maybe it was a careless lapse, maybe it becomes a teachable moment that lands where it should, on a safer next post. Kourtney asked for grace by owning it. The internet asked for receipts by demanding the vest. If she pairs authenticity with visible responsibility, this dies down as quickly as it flared. If not, the frame will follow her longer than the vacation glow. Either way, the takeaway is simple. Influence is a megaphone and a mirror. When you show the life you love, show the safeguards too. That's not branding, that's parenting in public.